Comic Relief has brought us our first new bits of Doctor Who content since Christmas Day. For those that don't know, Comic Relief is a British charity that holds an annual telethon, also known as Red Nose Day, every March. And Doctor Who has been part of this a couple of times over the years, not exactly every year by any means, but perhaps most famously with the 1999 mini-episode The Curse of Fatal Death, which featured Rowan Atkinson as Ninth Doctor, or alternative Ninth Doctor, alongside a host of other Doctors played by Jim Broadbent, Joanne Lumley, Hugh Grant. We also had a Sarah Jane Adventures minisode in 2009, as well as the 11th Doctor minisodes Space and Time in the 2011 show. And Doctor involvement was teased in this year's show when a few images leaked about a week ago, depicting 14th Doctor actor David Tennant alongside comedian Lenny Henry, one of the people who founded the charity in the first place. Like I say, these images weren't actually technically officially released. I think maybe they were officially released later on, but certainly to begin with, they were actually leaked. And so that kind of leads me to believe that these images weren't actually meant to be seen until after the show itself, for reasons which will become clear when I talk about the content we actually got. But yes, Doctor Who fans had hyped themselves up, hoping for some kind of involvement in this year's show, be it a sketch or a mini-sode or announcement of some sorts. And in the end, we got two bits of new Doctor Who content, which I will go into now. So the first of these actually came right at the start of the evening, right at the start of the show, which was a very welcome change, to be honest, because in terms of the precedents set by previous Doctor Who charity skits, for Comic Relief or for Children in Need, for instance, in the past we have had to kind of wait until like an hour and a half into the show to actually get the bit we're waiting for. That was definitely the case last year with Children in Need, where they kind of teased we'd be getting a companion revealed, the new companion for Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor for Series 14. Of course, that ended up being Mae Gibson as Ruby Sunday, but they kept kind of teasing it throughout the show every half hour, and it didn't come until like 90 minutes in or something. So it was a very welcome change to get this year's kind of centrepiece Doctor Who skit right at the start of the show. I'll leave links to both these pieces in the video description, but essentially if you haven't seen this one, like I say, it was the start of the show. It started off with Lenny Henry in his dressing room, kind of feeling a bit funny, having a bit of a funny turn, then kind of proceeding to regenerate into David Tennant, who then proceeded to do like a kind of line-for-line recreation of that post-regeneration scene from The Power of the Doctor, with, the line about knowing these teeth and, what all that kind of stuff. That bit's all done in character as the 14th Doctor, and then he becomes David Tennant himself, complete with the Scottish accent and everything, and then we actually cut to the live show itself, where David Tennant is in the studio as one of the presenters for the evening show. So overall, a fairly kind of, inoffensive skit, really. Nothing too groundbreaking, to be honest. I think some people kind of hyped themselves up thinking this was going to be like a massive, reveal or announcement or something tying into the 60th anniversary. And I suppose this does in a broad sense, but it certainly doesn't kind of give us anything new, which, is kind of a bit of a shame maybe on the one hand. But I guess, what can they do, really? It's a bit of fun. It's for charity. It's nice to kind of remind the general audience, I suppose, that David Tennant is the Doctor, and kind of remind them of that scene, from The Power of the Doctor, where we left off in October. It's quite fun seeing Lenny Henry regenerating into David Tennant, not least because he actually played the Doctor in a spoof for the Lenny Henry show, his own show back in 1985, the Lenny Henry Doctor as he is known, and of course, he's not actually part of the official kind of canon or official lineup of Doctors, but it's nevertheless nice to have a little bit of a nod to that, to see him again, sort of playing the Doctor, or effectively kind of playing a character who regenerates into the Doctor. It's also funny because I think I saw someone say on Twitter that now, like, the list of people who have regenerated into David Tennant is now getting ridiculously long, because we've had Christopher Eccleston, we had David Tennant himself regenerating into himself in The Stolen Earth, we had, of course, Jodie Whittaker back in October, and now Lenny Henry as well, so the list grows longer. Then the second bit of Doctor Who content we got as part of this year's show was actually part of another sketch entirely, one revolving around Eurovision, the Eurovision Song Contest, and various celebrities sort of auditioning for the UK act in this year's Eurovision, which of course is being held in the UK, in Liverpool. And one of these unlucky individuals was, in fact, a bronze Dalek, which was very funny to see. I didn't actually watch this bit go out live. I saw it on Twitter afterwards because I'd kind of thought, you know, that first initial bit, that first sketch, was going to be the sum total of Doctor Who content for this year's show. So it was a very nice surprise to see that Doctor Who had cropped up in another sketch, a more broad sketch. Obviously, you know, great for the perception of the show to kind of have Doctor Who appearing in stuff like this. And, you know, to have a Dalek there, fantastic. It's a great little clip, basically, of a Dalek singing Daft Punk, which, yeah, it's not something that I'd ever thought I'd see, but here we go. And it's funny as well, because I saw someone say on Twitter that this could potentially end up being the final appearance of the Bronze Daleks on television, which would be kind of a mad one for the history books, you know, to kind of look back on history and say the final appearance of the Bronze Daleks, you know, it wasn't on TV, it wasn't in Power of the Doctor, no, it was part of Comic Relief. And unless I've missed anything, I believe that is it for this year's show in terms of Doctor Who content. So you get two little bits there. The opening skit with Lenny Henry regenerating into David Tennant to kind of introduce the whole show and to kind of tie into him presenting the show as well, the live show, which was very nice to see. Like I say, not the kind of most groundbreaking thing ever, but a nice enough little skit, a nice enough little piece of fluff, really. And then this surprise appearance of a Dalek as part of the Eurovision sketch, which I have to say may well actually be my favourite out of the two bits of Doctor Who content we got this year. I'll leave links to both of these in the video description below so you can check them out for yourselves if you haven't already. But if you have watched them already, please let me know your thoughts on them in the comments section below. You know, what you thought of them, what you were expecting going into the show, whether these things met your expectations or not. If you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new for more stuff like this in the future. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.